Okay, so looks like we are live. All right, everyone. So welcome to another live data science Q&A session. And we have a special guest today, Anuj Gupta. If you remember, we have had a conversation on our channel previously, I think a few months back. And during that, we discussed various things about ML and how ML is being used in the industry. So Anuj is an author of a popular NLP book, and he's also a head of machine learning at Vahan. Anuj, you want to introduce yourself? You want to say anything else? Any other interesting things that you're doing?
No, nothing much. First and foremost, a big hello to everyone, and thank you so much for having me again. I am really grateful for Dhaval and Code Basics for giving me this opportunity and sharing my knowledge, whatever little I have with the larger audience.
Great. Cool. So I hope everyone can hear us okay. Just forgot about checking the setup. So if you guys can hear us okay, see us fine, can you post in the live chat so that we know that the setup is all good? All right, looks like we're okay. Great. So we can start with the question. I think we have got a bunch of questions. Does blockchain have anything to do with data analytics? I think, Anuj, you want to answer that question? Do you see any connection with blockchain and data science, ML, etc.?
I mean, there can be corrections, not that any are known at this point of time.
Okay,
I think right now there is not much at the confluence of the two.
cool. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so I'll take initial few questions, answer them quickly. So Jeet 18 has, I think he has an experience in data analytics, and how can I use this experience to become, I think, data scientist? Okay, so you have already learned few skills which you need to become a data scientist. So now maybe you know Power BI, Tableau, SQL, basic Python. Now you need to learn predictive modeling and machine learning, and get your stats and mathematics fundamentals right. And I think that's how you become a data scientist. Asif Playas is asking, hey, can I do data science after bachelor in business studies? They can. Have you seen people, Anuj, in your professional career where people come from a different diverse background and they become a data scientist or they get into machine learning field?
I have seen, I've seen even people sometimes coming from art as diverse as that. But then one thing I've also seen is there's a very strong motivation. And the motivation is not just, I would say, of the monetary returns or having a career track, right? They are more fascinated by a problem. So I've known somebody who comes from the field of art and it is experimenting and working extensively in creating music using AI, right? Right.
Oh, I
But
see. Person
but
coming
like I
from
said,
art.
yeah, in this particular case, the person has very strong affinity towards a problem statement
Mm-hmm.
rather than just a career, I would say, in that sense of it.
That's very interesting. I interviewed someone who was a lawyer actually for 12 years, and 39 at age 39 he learns coding, and right now he's a software engineer at Google.
Wow.
So lawyer, and because I get these questions many times that people say, oh, I'm 32-year-old, I've spent 6-7 years in doing mechanical engineering, can I learn coding? And I answer the same way, that it all depends on your curiosity, your hunger, how much you want to learn, because coding is something you can learn at home, right? If you want to be a doctor, yes, you have to go to university, perform a surgery. You can't do that from home. But yeah, programming, data science, folks, you just need to be confident you can do it. Okay. Just going through questions, which is best, doing data science in India or in MS? Okay, so folks, like, please be clear about your questions. I think, Keshav, what you're asking about is if you are asking if it's better to do data science in India or MS from USA. And if that is your question, then I would say both are good. Data science is a relatively new field, and universities did not have data science degree so far, but I think they have started those kind of courses. Correct? Anuj, do you talk with universities, and are you aware about the current
Yes,
scenario?
I mean, yeah, currently a lot of universities are now are offering a lot of programs, which
Mhm.
is around data science, right? Of course, how effective those are, one is yet to see because these are not full-fledged programs. These are often 3 to 6 months courses as well,
Mhm.
right?
I think I've
So
heard a lot about IIT Chennai doing this type of program where I think it's long term, 1 year or 2 year, I forgot. But they
yes,
have
yes. So a lot of IITs in India also have this now 2 year masters that they are launching,
hmm,
right? Which is creating more professionals around data science.
cool. All right. So just trying to arrange my windows because we have, and then you can also feel free to look at the question and
Sure, I'll also.
pick them up. Hriday Keshwani, should an individual be nervous about uh, his or her limited computing capabilities before picking up data science? So Hriday, I would say one thing, like who told you that you have limited computing capabilities? Sometimes, Anuj, I've seen people start coding, they just give up in 1 month, they just conclude that it's not their cup of tea. But this guy that I was interviewing who become software engineer at Google after a long lawyer career, same thing happened to him. He tried coding, didn't work out, he thought this is not my thing. He tried again and it worked out, and he loved it. So just give it a try. You should not just conclude that computing is not thing. Many times you might have those false conclusions. Soumya Venkat is saying cool background, Anuj.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Soumya Venkat is saying cool background, Anuj.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is what Zoom offers. So why not make the best of it?
Yeah. Can I become data scientist or analyst after bachelor in management studies? Yes, of course, you can do that after bachelor in management studies. Many times people learn those skills on their own. They participate in Kaggle competition. They do pretty good. I know one person who was a mechanical engineer and he participated in Kaggle, got good rank, and he got a job offer, I think, from some US company directly. And he doesn't have any formal education on data science. So yeah, there are so many
I think
opportunities.
I think here it's important to add the fact that what is the motivation for that?
Hmm,
I personally believe no matter what you try, it will be difficult to begin with.
hmm,
Right? It is what you are attracted to. And my suggestion would be don't get attracted to the outcomes.
hmm,
Get attracted to the process. I mean, if
hmm,
that is something that you really enjoy, it will be fun no matter what is the outcome. If
hmm,
you, and there's something I've seen across the spectrum, right? I mean, what is so sanctosanct about data science, machine learning? Nothing. I mean,
hmm.
no matter what field, if you're good at it, you will get what you deserve. And it could be right from playing guitar to maybe even building the right constructing buildings. If you're bloody good at it, you will get it. So
This
I
is
think
amazing. It's like getting
that
attracted. I feel like almost I should have this quote posted on LinkedIn. Get attracted to a process, not the outcome. Because same thing happened with me, Anuj. Like I started teaching on YouTube at I think at 34 almost. I didn't know I'm good at teaching. And then it worked out and I got so much attracted. I did not have monetization, nothing. I was just attracted to the process of building a tutorial, interacting with people. And now I'm at a stage where it's kind of becoming commercial. I'm earning decent money out of it. But that's just an outcome. I'm till today, I'm just attracted to a process. And money is just a side thing,
no
side
matter, right?
effect.
I mean, in today's world, one of the new fields that have come up in entertainment is this stand-up comedy, right?
Hmm,
I mean, there
hmm,
are so many people who are making so very good at it,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
Because they love the process of telling a joke and making others laugh, right?
hmm.
What they earn, the status, the followers is all a outcome, is all a side of it, right? If as long as these guys love to go on a stage, tell a joke, and make others laugh, I think they will enjoy. And I think that is what, to me at least, matters the most.
Yep. Excellent point, actually. Many people who decide to pursue data science career, most of the time they are attracted to outcome. Data science is another hot word, and data scientists are making this much money, and that's why I want to do it. But then there could be people who don't like sitting on computer more than 1 hour. There are people, for example, my brother, he's a salesperson. He wants to go meet 5 new people every day. I mean, I wouldn't recommend him becoming a data scientist or a programmer, because programming requires you to sit on computer for a long time. So you have to look at your personality, what you're attracted to, and as Anush rightly said, the process. Harshita Verma, prior Python coding knowledge required for data science? No, I mean, you don't need to have coding knowledge. You can acquire it, as Anuj mentioned, if you are interested in process. See, learning things nowadays has become so easy. You can take courses on some e-learning institute or watch videos on YouTube, right? Easy internet access everywhere. So you can learn it. Yash Gupta, how can we switch career from supply chain management to data analytics after 10 years of career? Supply chain management to data analytics. Any thoughts, Anuj?
I would say, see, I mean, you can move from any field to any field. I would rather say, if you look at the entire data stack, right, guys, at the base of it is data, right? There is data engineering. Within data engineering, also, you can talk of, say, building basic pipelines and then having platforms. On top of it is analytics. On top of it is predictive analytics, right? So analytics is all about how certain curves have been moving so far. Predictive analytics is how some of the key curves that the company or the team or the individual cares about are likely to move in the near future. Right? Above them comes analytical models, or what is called as decision sciences, right? Where you have things like churn, propensity, upsell, cross sell, right? Market basket analysis, the recommendation system, search, all those kind of things. And above that comes, I would say, core machine learning, which is NLP, vision, speech, right? Those kind of things. Now, in this particular case, I would suggest you already understand supply chain management well, right? Because you have already spent 10 years. Now, look at an organization which might be doing analytics in supply chain management, right? Because there you already have the domain knowledge. You only need to build that basic analytics knowledge, right? And then start to move gradually, right? Any shift will not happen in one day or a week or a month, guys. I'd say just look at where you are in the adjacent of it, what is possible,
Hmm.
right? And move there and move there and move there. I would say that is something that is a more sustainable approach rather than giving up everything and then studying machine learning and then trying to get a full-time job.
I totally agree. There are, in fact, supply chain data analyst roles. So they look for people who have domain knowledge in supply chain. And now you learn maybe Power BI, a little bit of Python, Pandas, and that's it. They specifically look for that domain knowledge. And once you have domain
Absolutely.
knowledge, once you have good reasoning skills, analytical skills, they will hire you and they might train you, once you join.
And as a
So
matter of fact, a lot of companies are doing a lot of work in supply chain management, primarily due to some of the recent events, like what happened in Suez Canal, or in what happens in COVID, or because of the way the hardware industry is currently operating out of China, and the kind of shortages supply chain is across the world in terms of the microprocessor world. So a lot of companies are investing time in, can we predict events ahead of time, and what could be the alternative to solve some of them, right? Now those are very large scale problems which have huge implications, right? So all of that are very tangible fields that one can then start to look at, because you already have part of the knowledge there, rather than starting from scratch.
cool. Okay, Amit Bardwaj is asking, he did his PhD in biochemistry, then he shifted to computational biology. I'm planning to transition entirely into data science, non-biology. How much proficiency in statistics is needed for this?
See, it's tough to quantify it this way, right? But I would say, again, right, rather than looking at something very different, right? Within biology, also today, there's a lot of machine learning being applied. And right from the data to all the way to machine learning, the entire stack that I've talked about, right? That is again a world where you understand, right? A normal data scientist cannot get into that game because they don't understand biology and a lot of those stuff. Right? So you already are bringing domain knowledge into it. And maybe that's a good place to start from. Right? So look at a lot of these pharma companies, they have a lot of analytical teams where I think a lot of this the things can come very, very handy.
Anish Nama is asking, what is the future of data science in upcoming years? So yeah, I think this is a good question for you, Anuj. Like, where do you see this whole data science ML field evolving in next 5 or 7 years? I hear a lot of things about explainability of AI models, then like all these new advancements. Like if you look at just NLP itself, we started with LSTM and then I think bidirectional LSTM and then now transformers. I see like a lot of advancements happening, not just in, so there are advancements happening in hardware space where NVIDIA is coming up with better and better chip, advancement happening in terms of frameworks, Hugging Face, TensorFlow, PyTorch, and then pure academic research like algorithm wise, people are coming up with new and new models. So, and this is one issue that I'm facing on, that I'm myself learning a lot of things and I learn something, and by that time, if once I want to apply it, it just gets outdated. So, what are your thoughts on these things?
So two things. One, there will be a lot of things that will come up in data science more and more, right? As more and more companies start to adopt, they also start to see a lot of limitations to existing techniques, right? While there is a lot of buzz, the thing at the same time is also in at ground, a lot of things don't work, right? And one of the big examples of this you would have seen even in the academic world, whereby there's a shift from modeling to data-centric data science now, right? Right. If you see the latest courses from Andrew, Nick, and others, right, they are talking of this data-centric machine learning. Right now, there are multiple reasons for all of this, right? If you have to see where does largest number of algorithms come from, right? These are research labs headed by Facebooks and the Googles and the Amazons, right? Now they already have been doing this for almost 20 years now, and they understand the game so very well that data is the fundamental thing. Now they keep on developing algorithms, and the only way they can test their algorithms thoroughly is when there is a wider adoption, when people take those algorithms and try in multiple settings. Right? So anytime an algorithm, a new technique comes, you'll see a blog post or a paper that talks of, okay, this is going to change the landscape. Right? People go ahead, take it, try extensively. It's not right. You start from LSTMs or RNNs to LFTMs to BERTs to transformers. Each of those blocks are right. So that's one part of it, and they'll continue to do that. The point is, they are at a point whereby they are looking at it from a pure research perspective, right? Which is always three-part process. One is possibility. Is it
Hmm.
even possible to solve this problem?
Hmm.
Then comes, okay, once you find it is possible, then comes feasibility.
Hmm.
Can I solve the same problem in a reasonable amount of resources, right? In the
Hmm.
algorithmic world, this is like, is the problem in the space P or NP, right?
Hmm.
Now that you know, okay, this is feasible, what is the best way of solving it?
Hmm.
Now, if you look at all the language models, you see only bigger and bigger and bigger models keep on coming until we get to a point whereby these language models can actually do the thing they are designed to do very, very, very well.
Hmm.
But as a sidetrack, you'll also see people who will take up these models and find what is the most compressed version of this model that can give me near similar performance,
Hmm.
but from a computational point of view, may not take so much resources and stuff like that, right? So that's whole one side of it, right? We've already seen how transformers came from NLP and moved into vision, right? Which is this cross seeding across the different fields, which will continue to happen.
Hmm.
So you'll see a lot more techniques coming up, right? You'll see people from different domains coming into this, right? So even in academia, everybody wants to do machine learning because there is a lot of funding available up there, right?
Hmm.
And that is also leading to a lot of interesting results. I recently saw a paper which talks about how incorporating knowledge from physics into a deep learning model can actually was able to model a particular data set extremely well.
Hmm.
If not done, even the best of the best deep neural networks could not do that,
Hmm.
right? So this whole thing will continue to evolve. Where it will go, I mean, that's anyone's guess, as good as yours, as good as mine. That sense of
Hmm.
it.
Cool. But overall, I think
And
there are, in terms of career, there are many jobs being generated. And when I look at data science and ML adoption, I live in East Coast, and I was interacting with one of the person who runs a $200 million organization, and like these kind of tier two organizations, even they don't have any ML, any data science. They're doing number crunching in huge Excel files. They don't have even dashboards. So to me personally, I see a huge adoption of data science. It has already begun, and it will continue the process. And you agree, like there will be many, many more jobs in data science
absolutely,
and
I
ML.
mean, there will be a lot more because everybody now wants to have a peek into the future because that is the only way you can plan ahead of the curve, right?
Yep.
And that's what. But on the same track, you'll also see a lot coming up in AR, VR, in crypto, right? I
Hmm.
mean, these fields will also start to explode at an equivalent pace, and maybe sometime soon, even quantum, I would say.
Oh wow, quantum is a big threat to Bitcoin.
It is. I
Once,
mean, it's a completely new way of looking at computation, right? The way computers
mm,
have been seen so far for last 75 years, that whole philosophy is going to change now.
yeah, the whole paradigm, it's gonna be humongous. You don't think about bits now, one and zero. It's just total mind shift. It's like almost like a transitioning from classical Newtonian physics to the theory of relativity. That's like a paradigm shift. I think
Absolutely.
that's, and with Facebook and Microsoft investing heavily on metaverse, all the other players are just going to follow their lead and go into AR, VR space. So a lot of cool, interesting things happening for sure. All right. Okay. And then you can also, I mean, if you have any question of your choice, feel
Sure.
free.
Okay. Somebody wants to know, how do data engineers become data scientists? Folks, so I would suggest one thing, right? One, continue doing well in the data engineering job, but at the same time, understand how the data that you are producing is being consumed, right? I would say take the same problem that the data scientists are solving, already have access to the data, try basic things around them, build basic models, right? Go back, talk to the data scientists, get a feedback from them. And that's how, I mean, the fact that you are a data engineer is a great advantage
Yeah.
because you're already sitting next to a data scientist and you're already must be interacting at least maybe 1 to 2 hours a day with the data science folks, right? So understand what do they do, right? Once you people produce the data, right, then what do they do? I think that is one of the easiest way, and I will suggest, right, look at Kaggle, right? Kaggle is where data is available. You need to build models, which is what essentially data engineers help data scientists, right? Now that the data is available, data scientists start to build models, right? So same thing. So I would suggest those two things.
Many companies have this concept of inner sourcing where there is an ML team and let's say data engineering team. An ML team just outsource, not outsource, but they publish some of their work that, okay, we want to build this project, anyone wants to contribute. And now anyone can contribute. So maybe you can take the initiative if your company has that kind of culture, or just reach out to any data scientist in company and say, hey, I can help you for free. I mean, that's how you learn things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And believe me, data scientists, if there is one thing they are afraid of, is pulling data at scale, which is
Hmm.
what you are great at, right? So
Yes.
leverage that.
They would appreciate your help for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep. Cool. And since we are talking about data a lot, I want to just make a quick announcement that I have launched some t-shirts which are around data. So I'm wearing one Code Basics t-shirt. So my branded t-shirt plus some of the cool t-shirts which I can just quickly share. So if you see the screen, we have t-shirt which says data is new oil. I would say data is new gold probably. You agree, Anuj? Everything is around data. So the link of this website is in video description below. I launched this website, so yeah, it's totally trustworthy. You can buy these t-shirts and support YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. All
Yeah,
right,
and
cool.
and folks, just to add to it, I mean, Dhawal has been doing a fantastic job, and it is important that all of us do our little bit to support him in all this effort that so far he has been doing. So please do come forward. These are very affordable teas. So
Yep.
buy one, gift one.
Thank you. Thanks for that support, Anuj. All right. Okay. Is online courses are enough to become data scientist, or if I'm pursuing graduation in BSc? Yeah, it could be. See, online courses do not guarantee you a job, but using online courses, you can gain the knowledge. What guarantees you a job is a solid project portfolio, your contribution to open source, various Discord channels, or even Kaggle, and your performance in the interview, right? You agree, Anuj?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And guys, I mean, this is a common question that I get. Why most companies don't want to hire freshers, and I wanted to address this. Uh, there is a particular reason for this, right? If you look at any curriculum which is out there, it focuses all about modeling, linear regression, logistic regression, trees, this neural network, that neural network, and all that stuff. But when it comes to the actual system building inside industry, things are not just about modeling, right? What you start with is a very vague problem statement for which you often do not have the data. And your majority of the struggle is about one, fine tuning that problem statement, understanding whether is machine learning even needed or not. If machine learning is needed, then what kind of a data is needed, from where you're going to get the data, from where you're going to get the labeling. Building a model is a very small aspect of this, right? And this is one of the key reasons why organizations are still figuring out what is the right set of skill one should have to be a successful data scientist, right? So most JD, I mean, the reality is most JDs out there are a copy paste. People put all terms in it because they themselves are very unsure of what is exactly needed. Right. So why not write a holistic one, right, which will cover almost everything, right? And that's one of the key reasons why most freshers don't get hired in data science jobs, right? And my sincere advice up here would be don't wait for that to change because that might not change anytime soon. Believe me, as much as people, I mean, if let us suppose monetary side is your one of the key objectives, then you can earn in data engineering more than what you can earn in data science if you know your stuff well. I mean, believe me, because a lot of companies are now realizing that we don't even have the right data infra that is needed to even do data science. Right? And they are investing heavily. Hiring a data engineer right now in market is not straightforward. And I have done this. I mean enough in my teams to know this for fact. Right? So get into data engineering, right? Because that is an easy transition to make, right? That will also take away the pressure from you, right? Whereby you will have more time and bandwidth to do things, over a period and gradually keep changing lane, right? If you have to go from left side of the road to the right side of the road where traffic is running, you can't take a right turn, guys. You have to gradually change lanes and keep moving. And that is what I would strongly suggest.
This is exactly the same thing that was suggested by my friend who is a CTO of some big IT firm in California. And he was telling me that many companies are having hard time adopting AI and ML because the quality of data is horrible. There is no data governance. So they are trying to solve that problem right now.
Yes, yes. No matter how companies talk of AI and all, the reality is most companies are struggling even with the data facts, right? The
Yeah.
quality of data, the quantity of data, the data governance, right? What is the PII information? Can we keep it, not keep it, and all of those things.
Yep. So building a career in data engineering is an amazing idea. You can always learn predictive modeling statistics and become data scientist later. In fact, companies will really hire you, if you have data engineering background and then you have become data
Absolutely.
scientist. Cool. Okay. And this is another question that I get a lot. Confused in choosing masters in computer science or data science, because many people want to come to US for doing masters, and now they have two choice: masters in data science or master in computer science with some AI subjects. I mean, and I say, okay, do that. Do master in computer science with some AI subjects, because if you're looking at, if getting a job after your master's is one of your concern, then for every 10 computer engineer job, maybe there might be one data scientist job.
Yes, yes. I would also suggest the same, right? And being a journalist over there will help you more in terms of the kind of options that will be available to you.
Jaya Krishna is talking about any top certification for data science. Have you come across any good certificate programs?
So, to be honest, I have a bias towards these programs, right? And my bias is that uh, look at the success rate in terms of the kind of jobs these people do. So most people who do data science certifications end up either as analysts or data engineers, right? And the point is again, right, going back to the same thing. None of these certifications give you an idea of the real world environment. So if you really want to look at a real world environment, take a vague problem and build a model for it when you have no data.
Hmm.
That is the reality.
And sometimes being a student, people have issues working on this problem. And I always say, okay, participate in open source or go to a nearby NGO who might have some software, some kind of data sets, and just try to help them, try to help folks for fewer work on real-time problem, not just solving Titanic data set or Irish flower data set problem.
Yes, that folks is like one of the, I mean, that is not data science how it happens in industry, at least as of today. And I don't see that changing in next 2 to 3 years for sure. Right? And the second thing I would suggest is don't expect a big job to land. I mean, if it happens, nothing like it, but don't have that expectation, right? I would say rather start small, right? Pick up an internship, because the bigger is the job, the more stringent is going to be the interview process, right? The company wants to be that much more sure, right? If you say, hey, I'm okay to work as an intern for three months, just give me basic stipend, then they know it's a low risk game, right? And they're happy to go forward with that. So it's the same thing, right? If you want to enter any new area, right, including maybe becoming a movie, right? You can't become a movie star overnight. You have to first get into part of those teams as an apprentice, or maybe as a cameraman, or whatever gets you
Side actor, yeah.
into the ring, right? And then gradually work your way up from there.
Since you talked about interview process, you are a head of machine learning at Vahan, and you have interviewed so many people. And I think a few months back, you wanted some interns, and we got some resumes through Code Basics. And so what does your interview process look like? Like what kind of questions you ask generally?
So two, three things. One, it's also a function of for what projects you are hiring and at what stage those projects are. Right. So if let us suppose we are building a system which is kind of the V0 is yet to be built, I look for more people who can work their way out, who can hack stuff. Because there the concerns are more around, am I solving the right problem? Do I have the data that is needed for it? How do I build a complete and a comprehensive data set for training, which is a close representation of what is likely to come in the production? Right? Do I understand the game of metrics? Right? Am I right? And can I talk to the business stakeholders? That is a very different skill set. Now, let us suppose you are hiring for a position whereby all of this has been done and you're already doing well, and you are now building maybe the version 6 of the system. Right? That's where you know all of this has been taken care of. The value proposition has been. Now you want to improve the ML metrics from maybe 92% to 93% or 94%. Right? There you might look for somebody who might have done an MS or PhD, which is closer to this particular problem statement. Right? So that has a huge difference, and it's a complete different mindset. One of the things I have seen is most data scientists get stuck when you tell them we need to start from data, because they expect that the data is there, it's going to come on a platter, and they have to start working from there onwards. That never happens, guys, never ever. And I can give you in writing. Right? Rather, what we'll start from is a vague problem statement, which the business is expecting from you. Right? So that's one side of it. The second thing I personally look at is it's not just about data science. Okay, whatever you have studied, have you understood that well? Because, like you said, Dhaval, by the time you might read something, it might become obsolete. Right? So, what is more important is your ability to pick up a topic and being able to really go deep and understand it thoroughly. Right? So, that is another very important fact for me, at least, that I closely look at. Right? And three, of course, right? I mean, maths comes handy, whether we like it or not. Somebody can always say, hey, I have used scikit-learn and I've never used maths, which is true. Right? And highly likely you might not need it. But then at some point of time, when this system keeps maturing and you are again required to build version 5 or version 6, you will have to look it from a fresh eye. And the fresh eye is not going to come from a package. It's going to come from the fundamentals equations that are coded into that package.
That's really very interesting insights. And I don't think any course, any certification program is teaching these things. They just teach you how to build a fancy model, but they don't teach the part that is done before. And everyone, Anuj has an awesome book called Practical Natural Language Processing, and that's the book you should be reading. That's where he and his co-authors have talked about some of the practical aspects. How do you look at the real world problem and follow all those steps which are needed to come up with the end solution. And to get to that book, in the video description, I have provided a link of Anu's website. So that website has a link of that book, and maybe I can post Amazon's link as well. So, oh, the link is so long actually. Do you have a shorter link? Oh, we can. There is a website, right? Practical NLP.
NLP.ai.
Practicalnlp.ai. Let me just quickly post this link. Practicalnlp.ai. If you search in the Amazon, I can quickly share my screen and show you just in case people want to. So this is the book that Anuj is a co-author of, and book has received a lot of amazing reviews from from the industry leaders, from the companies and the folks who are leading especially the NLP space. So I would suggest you can buy this book and kind of learn the practical approach of doing things. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next question. Oh my God, questions are piling up so fast.
Yes. So I think we'll have. Okay, so let's start to address some of them. So Michael is asking, does Tableau, Hadoop AWS, this all or some other are must for a data scientist or machine learning engineer at an initial level? I would say no, right? I mean, in some again, the definition of data scientist is very, very broad, guys. So right from an analyst to a decision scientist to a machine learning, I've seen all of them, right? So what is needed is more a function of the team and what the organization uses and what is their definition of data scientist. I'll be very honest. Right? But I think one skill set that I believe is most important are to pick up something, ability to go into detail, ability to ask good questions. I think that to me will take you far ahead rather than focusing on X or Y. Today it's Tableau, tomorrow it could be Tableau Dash or whatever it could be.
Cool. So Otman is from Morocco. He's coming from industrial background in a conversion to become a data engineer. Will I have opportunities in international company as Europe or America as a beginner? So since Otman, I live in America, let me tell you this thing, like coming to USA directly on H1 is kind of difficult. So the best way is you come here to pursue your master's, and after master's, you can get a job and get on H1B and so on. People say, oh, getting H1B is difficult, but I don't agree with it because you, as a STEM student, you get 3 attempts. And if you don't get picked up in a lottery first year, you still have 2 attempts. And in worst case, let's say you have to go back to your country. In first 6 or 8 months, you will be able to cover your tuition cost. And then remaining 2 to 3 years, you get amazing experience working with awesome people, amazing companies here in US. You earn money, and when you go back to your country, of course your experience will be valued. So coming to US for masters is definitely a great idea, and that's one of the kind of short way of getting a job here. There are other ways of getting a job in US companies, which is US companies have these offices. For example, they have offices in India. You join that office and you perform well, and then you come here for in like intra company transfer. Rahul Parikh, to become data scientist in the future, is data analyst right profile to start your professional career? Yeah, it can be. I mean, there is no disadvantage of joining your career as a data analyst, because if you wait for your data scientist job, you might it might take you a few years to get that job.
Absolutely.
And to be honest, Anuj, I have seen like people just put a job description as data scientist, but in reality, they are doing data analyst work. They're just
Oh,
working on
yeah.
Power BI all the time.
Absolutely. 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 Right. And that is true even in machine learning. Even if you look at machine learning folks, right, a large part of their time goes in building the right data set.
Hmm.
So the point is that there is no doing away from that sludge work.
Hmm.
I mean, unfortunately, and I think there is a paper, there's a very beautiful paper that came which talks about this whole thing, whereby everybody wants to do this jazzy work of modeling, right? Building the most best RL model or stuff like that. Guys, there is no going away from doing that. There will be a day where you'll sit and manually label. There will be a lot of days where you'll write scripts to collect data, to inspect the quality of data, to all of that. There is no going away from that fact.
So you want to become a generalist, Python, you know how to hack a website to scrap the data, Power BI, everything that you need to get things done, basically.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
cool.
Unless you have done a PhD in machine learning, then it's a different ballgame. That is a
Hmm.
different side of it.
Hmm.
Right? But
Then you can
over
become.
there also, there is no going away from understanding the data.
Hmm. I was talking with one of your co-authors, Bodhi, the other day,
Yeah.
and he's a PhD. He works in Facebook in a AI research group. So for a person like him, yeah, we understand. That's like a different kind of role that you're playing.
That
But
is a very
90.
specialization, right? There's a very
Hmm.
specific problem that needs to be solved, and then bring in the specialist and get the job, right? But over there also, you need to think from first principle, right?
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
so that fundamental skill set will always be there.
Hmm. So someone is asking about how can they interact with data scientists or the people who are doing open source contribution in different countries. And what I suggest, Anuj, is okay, there are many Discord channels available, there are many Telegram channels available where you can interact with people in other countries who wants to do similar thing. And the other thing is open source packages. For example, if you want to contribute to pandas, just Google GitHub pandas. You'll find GitHub page of pandas. Go to issues, just pick up the issue and start working on it. Right,
Yeah.
Anuj? Are there any other ways, like any interesting conferences that you recommend people attending?
See, I think one needs to understand one thing clearly, right? Most people tend to write saying that, hey, I want to move from field A to field B, and then can you help me? One, that is a very generic question, right? Nobody can do anything there. So rather than asking what they can do for you, do the other way around. Start by saying, hey, I am a good data engineer. I understand you are doing a great project. How can I help you?
Hmm.
I think that to me is something that will get you far more responses and attention, and gradually work your way up.
Hmm.
Right? Again, don't expect things to come on the platter. Is my suggestion. Right now, it can start from a conference. It can start from a ride in a tube. It can start anywhere, right? But you need to first talk of what can you help with, what can you offer, what do you bring to the table.
Cool. Prajwal is asking, do we need a degree to get a job? So, Anuj, when you hire someone at Vahan, like how much importance do you give to a degree?
See, why degrees, right? How do you predict future? You predict future by looking at the past. Believe me, the role of degree is exactly the same. Right now, imagine somebody is from Harvard, as opposed to somebody from IIT, as opposed to somebody from maybe a not such a great college, right? Now you want to hire a person, right? You are likely to hire first. Why? Because what he has done in the past is the most likely. Nobody can say how an individual will perform, believe me, right? All hiring managers, the entire hiring process is all in approximation to predict, right? And that is not just a function of the primary skill set, right? It's a function of the values, the work ethics, right? All of that, the communication, all of that is equally important, right? So that is the only role of a degree. Now, believe me, if you have done enough work in your life where your degree is not important, no one cares in today's world. I mean, COVID has already shown people are working cross geographies, staying in one country, working for another company in another country. So it is going to become more and more global now. I mean,
Hmm.
the talent war is going to go to a different level altogether. Until now, it was only certain regions that were fighting among themselves, companies in certain regions. Now it's going to be one against every possible employer, right? And so my suggestion is degree, yes, it plays a role if you have not done enough work. Because at the end of the day, a person has to look at something,
Hmm.
right? To be say, okay, and there are hundreds of these resumes to look at, right? So there has to be some kind of a filtration criteria. Right? It's the same way, right? GRE score is not an indicative as how well a person is going to do in their masters or in PhD.
Hmm. Hmm.
But why do GRE scores are used? Because each university gets so many applications, they can't interview. They will love to interview everyone and pick up the right people, but they can't do that. That is practically impossible. Hence, they have to put some kind of a filtration. Right? So at Vahan, we do not have any such thing. At Vahan, it's all about what you have done and what you want to do. That's all.
So if you have good Kaggle rank, let's say Overflow rank, if you're done, let's say if your resume says I have done 20 commits in this open source model, automatically your importance of degree becomes almost close to zero because those things matter more than your degree.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of things, right? I mean, there are a lot of people who will say, I've done a lot of coding, this and that, and stuff like that. When you ask them, do you have a Stack Overflow account? They'll say no. Now, I have a basic question over there, right? If you are working and you're working so much, then you will run into issues. How are you resolving that issues? To
Hmm.
me, at least, when it comes to the software engineering world, Stack Overflow is a great place,
Hmm.
either to consume or then even to contribute, right?
Hmm.
And if you have not done that, then that talks of something else altogether.
Hmm.
Right?
Interesting.
If you have done work, you will run into the issues, no matter what happens,
Hmm.
right? And somewhere it has to show up, right? And I've had colleagues in the past who are not even college graduates. They are fabulous. They know their stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, they know their stuff. I know companies literally run after them. They don't, I mean, they have enough on the plenty. They're very clear what they want to do in life. So again, that comes back to the original point. I mean, fall in love with the process. The outcome
Hmm.
will take care.
This guy that I mentioned earlier from Mumbai, a mechanical engineering student, during his mechanical engineering gets good rank in Kaggle, and now he has a job offer from a company in San Francisco as a data scientist. No degree, nothing, because he has only one line in his resume. Here is my Kaggle link and here is my rank. Go look at my code, my conversation. Done. You have a job offer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the best CV, I would say create a CV which is one liner.
Yep.
Right? If you can put your CV on your Twitter,
Hmm.
you don't have to worry about things.
That's a very amazing, effective, very unconventional advice. Cool. I think when did we start? Oh, almost 1 hour, I guess.
Uh,
Uh, let's pick up few more questions based on your availability, Anuj. We can spend few more minutes maybe.
yeah, just a lot of questions are coming. So by the time I look at one, it already
It
moves.
just scrolls. Yeah, it just scrolls so fast.
Okay, so somebody is asking what are important things and tools like CNN are necessary for deep learning? There's a question from Michael. Michael, CNN is just very one thread within deep learning. I mean, deep learning is a very vast area. So again, depends on what is the purpose, what is that you want to do out of that knowledge that matters, right? But yeah, it is good to know, right? It is good to know what a CNN is as well. If you're
And I
if,
have a
if
great explanatory video on CNN because CNN is one of the topics on which people find it hard to understand. I mean, I had the same kind of difficulties understanding CNN when I was studying for the first time. So I have created this nice analogy based explanation. So if you do what is CNN in YouTube, maybe you'll find my video. First 2 or 3 videos will be mine. So just go watch that video, and that will give you a good understanding. There are so many architectures, when it comes to deep learning, even in CNN, so many different flavors.
Okay. Bangara Raju is asking, I'm a fresher, I have a good knowledge in ML and deep learning. Can I get in a data scientist position? Yes, you can. You can absolutely get a job, right? But again, don't expect that you'll upfront get a huge paycheck, right? Start small. I would say that is the best way, because lesser is the risk, and lesser is the risk, then companies and teams are much more open, right? So to work your way up, right? Maybe even starting with, I mean, I don't know whether you've already graduated or not, but if you have not, start with an internship that pays you decent enough, right? So that you can take care of it and gradually work your way up.
Now, Anuj, I'm getting very interesting question here. I would like to read this. So
Sure.
Skyscraper is asking, he's in 11th grade, learning Python, HTML, CSS till 12th. And he's asking, will he get a job after his 12th? Would you hire
Absolutely.
someone who has just done 12th at Vahan?
I mean, so rather, I would say startups have broken this typical mindset of the need of the degree itself, right?
Hmm.
See, degree gives you a safety net, no two questions about that. And the
Hmm.
only way it gives you is because it's a proof of, right? If you look at BTech, right? What is a BTech? In India, at least, you're taught 6 subjects a semester. You have eight semesters, right? So you have learned 48 subjects. What does that basically tell you? That, okay, given anything which you may not know, if you know the basics, you can learn the advanced stuff.
Hmm.
That is what is the purpose of a degree. That is what a BTech does in India,
Hmm.
ideally, or should do in India, right? Now, coming to the core thing, like if you have already done, you have done open source projects, you have made contributions. I have found a lot of people who can write a neural network but can't make a Git commit. And I'm honest here, Dhaval,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And I find this extremely annoying, right? Because you've learned the big stuff, but then if like it's the same thing in cooking, right? If you can't cut an onion, you can't be a Michelin two-star chef. Believe me, it
Yes.
starts from the grind. It starts from the
Yes.
grind,
You
right?
have to do
I
dirty
don't
work,
know.
folks.
You
That's
have to do. You'll have to sit in a corner and peel sacks of potatoes if you want to become a chef. And
yes.
I don't remember. I remember my mother was watching an episode of one of the cookery shows, and I remember there a top chef talked of this, how he in his life sat and peeled onions and potatoes for a good amount of his life in early days.
Wow. I was watching this MasterChef show, and one of the competition was how fast you can cut an onion. So if you want to become a master, you need to know how fast you can cut an onion.
So it's those small things that I believe tell, right? So
Hmm.
if in your 12th you have learned those basic things, why not? I mean, if you can learn so much in so early days, in 2 years you can learn so much more, right?
Yes.
I would suggest pick a good advisor, somebody you look up to the field, pick a person from that field and start working with them. That,
Hmm.
in my opinion, is one of the best ways of becoming good at that. If I mean, age is on your side, make the very best of it.
Yep. My Discord server has many folks who are very young, like one of the Discord mentors. I have a community of around 12,000 people, and one guy has just finished his 12th. His name is Vedant. He's so good. But he's good in all the aspects. As you said, like he knows how to do dirty work. He will do coordination, like all kind of dirty works, which is not building fancy model building. And I always tell to him that you are going to make a huge progress in your life, buddy, because you have got that get it done attitude. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter what kind of work it is, I will do it.
absolutely.
The other side, Anuj, that I'm seeing of this whole, kids learning coding thing with like Whitehead Coding Junior and Byju's, people, I'm getting so many comments, and this is a new trend. Like 2 years back, I did not have any kids watching my video. Now it's like I see a comment, ninth grade student, sixth grade, oh, I want to become data scientist. And I always tell them that, look, don't burn out during your childhood. For you, sports is very, very important thing, right? Are you hanging out with your friends? Like I grew up in a village in India, and I would just be out of my home the whole day. And I see that thing changing. Kids are at home on computers watching video. Okay, video game is another thing, but nowadays learning coding because everyone is telling them this is a good thing. But if you are kind of missing on your childhood, I mean, I really feel sorry.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is FOMO, and
Mm,
I don't know if you can really blame parents also. I mean, today's world is very competitive. Every parent wants the very best for their kids, right? But if there is one thing that one of my teachers taught me, I think the most important ability is the ability to think independently.
mm,
Everything else can follow.
mm,
I mean, today it's coding, tomorrow it could be a cricket, day after tomorrow it could be soccer. I don't know. I mean, it could be anything, right? It could be becoming a blogger, becoming a, right? If you know how to think independently, right? And that is what you used to tell all of us that your BTech is nothing but 48 opportunities to think independently in a particular area,
mm,
right? Because you have learned 48 subjects. Now, point is most people don't know, take one and then really pursue. To take
mm.
any one of them, pursue well, you will become very good at it. And then everything else will be taken care of it.
That's an
So,
amazing advice. Yes.
so I am not a fan. I mean, coding is fun. Yes, you should do. I would rather writing program, maybe build some basic robots, see things moving,
Mm,
right? That whole joy when you see a mechanical thing move because of a code is amazing.
mhm,
That all, yes, kids should do. But then again, it's out of interest. Only if the kid is enjoying, they should. It
mhm.
should not be forced. Like, I mean, that is, I'm
Nowadays,
not a
I'm
fan.
hearing very disturbing stories where parents, because these companies like these e-learning companies, some of them they have this huge marketing team. They like literally call parents, they bug them that you should be, you should have your kid learn coding, otherwise he or she will be behind. And then these parents are under pressure because I was, I'm interestingly, I'm getting so many messages on LinkedIn saying that, oh, I have my kid in ninth grade. Can you mentor him? For what? Okay. Can you mentor him in learning ML? I'm like, okay, does he know math? Look, math is the first step. Like, just have him focus on math, linear algebra, calculus. Don't even think about ML. You want to climb Everest and you can't climb a small hill near your home. Like, just start with that first.
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very unfortunate. Uh, I, I don't know. A couple of days ago, I read a quote on LinkedIn somebody had put out, in a world full of edtechs, be a Khan Academy.
Oh my God.
So I don't know. I mean, this is a this is an interesting topic. It has many facets to it, and any facet has both good side and the
Good
not
and
so
bad side.
good side of it. Right?
I
I
agree.
mean, this is same as startups, right? I mean, creating a startup is all glory, but not many people know really the grind that a founder goes through and the
Yes.
solitude, those breakdowns. Right? All of them look at, okay, here is a founder who has gone ahead and made an IPO
Mm,
and is kind of now running the region. But for every, that's a selection bias, right? For every
mm,
one success story, there are thousands of other stories that people don't see, which is why I feel if you really want to go in a field, pick a mentor, work
mm,
with them. I think that is, And that is how you'll understand their process, the
Hmm.
grind, what it takes on a daily basis.
Hmm.
Right? That is the
Amazing.
I believe the greatest way to get a glimpse into what do I want to pursue this as my future.
Hmm. That's an amazing advice. And getting mentors through LinkedIn and through online forums is it's not as hard, in this world of internet. You can find mentors. There are people who wants to help. So many Discord channels, LinkedIn.
Absolutely, absolutely. But again, over there, don't expect that they will come and start advising you from day one.
Hmm.
First, what do you bring to the table? Believe me, at that point of time, their time is more valuable than yours, at least at that. So be cognizant of that. And
Yeah,
always start from how can I help you rather than how can you help me.
I say that, okay, go to a technical conference and just help them arranging tables or cleaning the
Absolutely.
floor.
Absolutely.
In
Right.
that process you will
And
meet some experts.
I absolutely I have known folks who have done that, and that's how they have got into conferences. And that's how
Hmm.
they have learned stuff. Because by doing that, they can get a free entry up there. No,
Yes.
no one will stop them. Absolutely. I completely agree with you.
All right. Cool. You want to take one last question? I think we have more than 1 hour, and I know.
Maybe we can take one from Brian Gray. He's saying, does websites like Kaggle and Rank matter in getting job in data science? If yes, then what are such websites? Again, see, you have to understand that these often become filtering criteria, right? So imagine there's a person who is going through your CVs, and most probably these people are from the HR world who have no idea of what is the data science and machine learning. Right? They have only sat with machine learning engineers and data scientists to understand what kind of resumes to look into. Right? What are those keywords that must stand out? Right? So having ranks up there definitely helps your CVs to go through the initial phase. But having said that, then you should not do where you start putting these keywords and don't live up to, because eventually the bluff will be called out in case
Yes.
it's a bluff, right? Uh, so you should be good at that stuff, right? And the only way is work your way up.
Great. All right, cool. Thank you very much, Anuj, for spending, I think, more than 1 hour today on the
With
weekend.
pleasure, absolutely
I
pleasure.
feel like I also learned a lot of new things from here. And sorry if for all those questions which were not answered. I usually, after the live stream is over, I usually go through most of the questions. And if I see a pattern, I try to make a short video on it. So watch out for those videos. Maybe your questions will get answered, and we'll do more of such sessions in the future. Thanks once again, Anuj. We'll end the stream now.
Thank you so much, Dhaval. It was fantastic. And yeah, fantastic question, folks. So keep them coming, but yeah, find what you love and pursue that.
Great. Cool. The stream just got